Good afternoon and welcome back to Plannercraft. I'm Natalie and today we are going to be doing something a bit super duper special as we've reached, well, we've actually now well and truly toppled 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube, so thank you very much. Now if you're new to us, don't be afraid to join in and comment. Those of you who are familiar with our streams know that the chat is open and away you go. So please do let us know that you're watching. I can't see chat on the big screen, but Ian is there monitoring. And that's weird. You can see Mum. So your chat may come up on the video, but it's not in its usual little window where I can see it. So, what are we doing? Today we are doing UV resin. So there are two types of resin. One which is where you have to mix equal parts of A and B, and that's known as your epoxy resin. Now that resin is really good for doing complex moulds, things that have lots of detail, moulds that aren't transparent, and then going right up to the crazy things like giant lollipops, which is what we did. And you can see the remnants of it on my mat, so I do apologise because I sparkle. So yeah, that my mat has succumbed to alphabet glitter. So 2-part resin is really good for doing big stuff, anything where you need to kind of weatherproof it and seal it, and bigger moulds. Now the only problem with epoxy is, number one, you've got to mix it in its right ratio for your resin, which will vary between different ones. But also is the cure time. Now you can get quick cure ones that are like 10-minute cures, and they tend to have a bit of a higher toxicity level. So you just want to be really careful whenever you're working with any resin. To be honest, you're going to want some gloves. As you can see, they're standing here at the standby, ready to go. So basically, before it's cured, you don't want to have any contact with your skin whatsoever.
Want to do some hellos?
Let's do hellos.
So we have Beverly.
Hi Beverly.
Thea.
Hi Thea.
Carol.
Hi Carol.
And your mum.
And my mum.
And me.
And you.
Linda.
Hi Linda. So, UV resin on the other hand is kind of the total opposite of this. So we're going to be doing small things, because small things are nice and quick to cure. So it's going to be that we're going to be able to cure in about 60 to 90 seconds with a UV LED lamp. It's about 2 minutes with just an ordinary UV lamp, and if it's a sunny day you might even be able to cure it in 5 minutes outside if you really want to make sure that you are well and truly ventilated, and I wouldn't blame you if that's what you wanted to do. So, safety. As mentioned before, have a pair of gloves. You could also use a mask, would be a good starting point. If you have a tendency of managing to get things in your eyes, like my mum, then go for your safety goggles too, because it is an irritant to eyes and skin. So it's really important that we're going really safety conscious with resin. And that's the same whether you are going for UV or 2-part. So be conscious of that. Now I'm not got my gloves on yet because I'm going to go through the kit and then we're going to do a little bit of prep. So I thought it'd be really fun to kind of go through the whole process. It means we've got this longer time, so it's not going to be a case of here's one I made earlier. So
Here's logging out and back in because she's got a very blurred image.
Oh,
It looks right on my phone. So.
yeah, it looks all right here. So it may just be that you just need to just do a little bit of a refresh. If at any point it does go a bit blurred. So, in the kit that I've put the link up for on the Facebook group. So that's facebook.com/groups/plannercraft. Quicker way of doing it than giving it its full title. You're going to get some findings. So these are going to help you turn your resin into jewellery. So we've got things like necklace cords. We've got little earring findings, jump rings, and even some keyring little loops. But we'll come back to those maybe at the end if we have time, because you want to make sure that everything's cured properly before you kind of get to that stage. So let's go through these in the order that I'm going to show them. I think you have some solid bezels, so this is where they have a back to them. Lovely pretty design on the back of that one. Oh, we've got the oval, which is a little bit smoother. Okay.
And Carol says Lily is coming tomorrow for a sleepover. She'll be able to see her mug for the first time. And hopefully
Yay!
the other mugs that I bought her and make some boxes for them.
Cool. So we then have some open bezels, so these are going to be really interesting to use, and in the box you're also going to have some tape. So the tape is there for when you use these. So basically you can put the tape on the desk, bezel on top, and then we can fill them up without too much leaking. Okay, that's the plan. Not tried it yet, we'll see how it goes. So then we have our nice transparent mould. So this is the kind of mould you're looking for when you're working with UV. Something that's not too deep, and you want it to have a good level of being able to see through it, so you should be able to see your hand waving through it. And you have a little mixing bowl and some little sticks that are going to help you guide the resin around. And then we have inclusions, so you could use some stickers or peel-offs. So if you've got a load of peel-offs that are sitting there, not knowing what to do with them, you can turn them into jewellery. We've got glitter, designed to have sparkle everywhere, and the house is still sparkling from when we did the letters. Everywhere. It gets everywhere, indeed. Then we've got these nice, like, almost like mica chunks, which are going to be really nice to put in some nice bright jewellery. And you get some little dried flowers as well, so these are perfectly flat and really good for going in your nice shallow moulds. Now, if you wanted to, you could just do the entire set with just the bits that are included, but I thought, well, let's go for something a little bit different, and we're going to work with the ScanNCut. So to do that, I am going to be using some stamps. So all the stamps I'm going to be using for this one are from Chocolate Rock. So we have the Curiosities set, the Teeny Weeny Meadow, the Mini Scripts, and the Mail Art. So these are all little tiny stamps that are ideal for scale wise to go into our bezels. So let's get started. So as I said, until we get the resin out, we don't have to worry too much about the gloves and things, and then we will come back to those. Now,
Did you show the lamp and the actual resin?
no, I didn't show the actual resin. How daft am I? So, very carefully, I'm going to bring in the lamp. So the lamp is a little stand-up one. I'm going to put it down on the desk. It's powered by USB, so it can be done powered by a laptop, which is generally how we've been doing it. So it doesn't have to be super duper technologically wise. You can just stick it in the USB port in your laptop. And we have the bottle of resin. Okay, so you're going to notice that everything to do with UV resin is going to be black, so that it is not absorbing any light whatsoever, so it stays nice and liquid. So, with that said, I'm just going to hop across to, let's make that a bit bigger. There we go. Zoom in and then I'll switch view. Ta-da! In Canvas already, I have done a little bit of prep.
Darcy says hello.
Hello, Delcy. So, we have top row are the 2 sets of solid bezels. So you get 3 of each shape, but it's easy to just put one into Canvas and multiply as you need to. Then we have one of most of the open ones. Now there's a few I haven't done, partly because of time and partly because they may not be very easy to do in Canvas, just because of format. And finally we have our little teardrop shape that's going to be going into our mould. So you can either send these as a whole to your machine, or if you just want to do a little bit at a time, it's entirely up to you. So I'm probably going to just send the solid ones to start with. We're going to go to transfer and send that across via the internet. Okay, so once that's gone, let's go to ScanNCut and we can bring that in. So, retrieve data from the cloud. Oh, and the webcam's right where your shapes are. Let's move that over there. There we go. So you can see your shapes. So with these two here, we know that they're already the right size, but we can go to Edit, Object Edit, and we can go to Duplicate, and we can add an extra copy. There, get the right button. There we go. So just remember to just move these. Okay, and I think 3 might be a good place to start, mightn't it? Because basically what we want to do is try and keep everything in a fairly small area so that we can just move the lamp over the top without having to move our actual items at all, because the resin is going to be quite liquid, so you don't want to be moving molds and things else. You could move things out of place. So keeping it little and often is much better. So I'm going to grab just some white card and let's get my cutting mat. And I'm just going to line that up. Now if you've done all your shapes at once, you can put your card the other way. But for these 3, they can just go like that. Press it down well, and let's pop it into the machine. Okay, so back to ScanNCut. I'm going to go OK. OK. Now, if you were wanting to do something out of a background image, so let's say you've already done your stamping, you can use your background scan at this point to kind of get the right bit of the stamp that you want to use. But for these ones, initially, I'm going to just stamp onto the shapes themselves, because our stamp is nice and small. If you're working bigger stamp, then you might want to do your stamping first. So I'm going to go OK. I'm going to go to Cut. And I'm going to pop in just the standard blade. Yeah, turn the half cut off. And yeah, we've been doing vinyl, so yeah. And I'm going to take the pressure down just a touch, just because it's only thin card, so it should have a nice easy line to get through. And off it goes. Now I'm working on a brother mat rather than an artistic, so hence the pressure is a little bit different. So, any questions that you'd like to ask? Let's peel this off. I'm going to set that piece of card to one side because we can probably come back to that later. And let's go overhead. So we have two of the little ovals, and they are tiny, and a circle. So if I put one in, let's check the size. So you want it so that your piece of card can sit nice and flat in there. And it's a good idea to check this before doing your stamping, just in case you do need to trim it slightly. Okay.
Grace says hello, got to go with 3. She missed most so far, but hopefully we'll play catch up.
Yeah, definitely. It will be available on catch up for the foreseeable, as long as I was on YouTube and they let me have my videos on here. Okay, so stamp platform. Now, this is a good time to make use of an old cutting mat if ever there was one. But I'm just looking, thinking, what have I done with that? It's probably staring at me because I took it out for doing something else. Can't see for looking. Oh well. So, let's get some masking tape just in case, because we want to have it so we have something that we can stick to. So, cutting mat, just trim it down and pop it in your stamp platform. Or in this case, I'm just going to use a bit of masking tape, sticky side up, hold it down with magnets, like so. So then I can go, okay, let's pop that there. So you notice I'm not going to stick it so that it's totally over the masking tape, it's just there to hold it in position. So let's move that up just a little. Now, stamps. Let's have a think. So, I think I'm going to go for something floral for this first one. Let's go for this one. So we've got kind of a nice, let's see if I can get focus. There we go. Little foliage design that we can use. Yep. So make sure your stamp platforms are right around.
Carol's got a quick question about version 2.
Okay.
Does it automatically transfer your files from version 1 to version 2?
In terms of something you already have saved, it will keep it as version 1 until you resave it in version 2. But what you may find is that actually what it does is change the program that the file opens up in. So it may default to version 2, but that doesn't make it a version 2 file until it's actually then resaved. Okay, so let's go for a colour. Given that it's foliage, let's go chocolate, because I think that's going to look quite pretty. Yeah, because it's like a silhouette rather than a. So just put the lid back on the ink for a second, give it a little press, and there we go. We have our stamped image. Now let's see if I can get that camera a little bit closer. So excuse the shadow. In actual fact, I might have to move the teddy bear. Because I have a teddy bear to stop me banging my head on the camera. Let's just move him out the way. There you go. Makes it look like that was a big teddy bear. It's not that big. Okay. So, let that dry for a few moments. And then we can do a little bit of ink blending. So, just clean your stamp. Because we're good and we clean our stamps. Lol. And I'm just going to get just a blending brush and let's go to good old antique linen. Just so that we give it a little bit of shading. Like so. And then we can put one of those little dry flowers over the top and I think that'll look perfect. Okay. So I'm going to pop that into that bezel up there, ready. Let's get the next shape. So just pull your tape back taut after, because as you pull each one up, it's going to kind of pull that tape. So, white cardigan. Now, what I was going to do, I think, is try. This is very much a try, so it might be. See how it goes, but this stamp here is almost exactly the same size as our dial, so let's pull my tape back taut, down we go, over the top with the platform, press it down, and again we could go for the chocolate.
Louise is watching but she can't comment.
Oh, that's a shame. Not sure why. I haven't banned anybody from commenting. And there we go. So we have our little clock. And I can go over the top of what's left on my brush. So this won't be strong, but it's just going to...
That's what ink you're using.
So I'm using Memento ink to do the stamping so that I get a nice clear impression. And I'm going over the top with Distress ink. So that we're just tinting basically. So even if the ink bleeds a little when we put the UV on it, I think because we've got Distress, it's going to still look pretty cool. Okay, one last one, and we've got our oval. Now it'd be nice to go something a bit brighter on this one, wouldn't it? So, clean this up because I'm a good girl. And this time let's go for... Let's go for some script as a background. So I'm going to go with the oval. It's a bit more important that you get things the right way round. So I'm going to go that way. Now let's go for slightly different ink for this. So I'm going to go to an archival. Just for a different colour. So I'm going to go, let's go speckled egg. So we get a nice soft texture in the background, and then we'll go for some stronger on top as a secondary image. So we've got a nice soft background like so with our script. Now obviously if you ever need to do a secondary stamp, it's going to be a bit more difficult with the masking tape method too if you've got your cutting mat in there. And I'm just going to give that a very quick wipe, pop that back. And let's go.
Judy says she's just arrived, so I have a late. Do you have a picture of the finished product so I know what you're trying to achieve? No, because it's the first time we've done it.
Yeah, so we've used UV resin before, but this is the first time that we're going to be doing dual molds. So let's go for, I saved it especially, didn't I, sweetie? Let's go for this one. So I've gone for this kind of long curving foliage stamp, and I'm going to try and place it so that my foliage is going to curve like so. And then let's go to evergreen bowl. Just to kind of give us a stronger colour. Like so. And here we go. So we have, let's see if I can get it to focus. Come on, focus. You can just see that script detail in the background, and we've got that foliage going down the side. So let's get another bezel out and we can pop that on there. So far so good. And clean your stamp. And clean your actual platform as well. Nothing worse than forgetting to and then ending up with ink where you don't want ink. Okay, so I'm going to leave my tape in my stamp platform just for now, and then we can get on with the next bit. So this is where it gets fun. So I'm going to zoom out just so that you can see it a little bit better. Okay. They do, don't they? They look like it can be spot on for what I want.
And Louise can have comment. She had to set up her own channel to be able to comment.
Oh, that's bizarre. So let's see if we can get that clock just to rotate round just a little bit. There's nothing worse than it being slightly off, because then it doesn't look intentional. Come on. There we go. So I'm just going to slide that in so that R12 is at the top, and the rest can follow in like so. And that's not doing too bad. So now it's time for the scary bit. So what I would say is, if you are going to be doing things like inclusions, do that before you put your gloves on, because otherwise it gets a bit fiddly, to say the least. So try to do as much as you can before you go and put your gloves on. So let's go for which one? Eeny, meeny, miny, moe. I'm going to go for this one. Now this could be fun. Trying to get this out of here carefully. Very carefully. Like so. Oh, no, almost. Come on. Up and over, come on. And pop that in there, like so. Now there is some little leaves and things in here too. I'm just going to leave that just as it is. Means we've stamped our page already. So with this one here, it would look quite nice to put something a bit pink in there, I'm thinking. Mind you, so does the blue one opposite look quite nice. Let's go for the contrast. What they didn't think of when they did these little containers is think, how does the average adult get their fingers in there? So let's pop that in there. And then we do have a leaf in that one too, if you want to use it. Come on.
And we've just got a box of three boxes of me-sized gloves from Lidl.
Cool. So I'm going to move that there, and let's have a look with this leaf here. And maybe that we decide that it's not quite right, but yeah, I think it's just going to be just a bit too big. But that's okay. We can sort that after. Now, for the clock, we might go for something a bit different. And let's go sparkles. Now, these can be fun. Oh. The one you want is always the one that doesn't want to come out. There we go. So I'm just going to go for little iridescent clear ones just to get started with. That's what Carol said.
So that's how Louise managed to get them free.
Yeah, I'd love to know that too. Amazon are doing a roaring trade out of me in gloves. So I'm just going to put in a few of these little bits of mica. So again, you can see why doing this after you've put your gloves on is not going to work, because you can't pick anything up in gloves very easily when it's thin like this. So I'm just going to pop just a few little bits down to one corner. Don't sneeze. Yes, definitely don't sneeze. And let's empty these out, because the winter is always at the end. There we go. So let's try and get come on, hope we get in there. There we go. And I think that's probably about it for what I want to put in those. So let's move those out of the way, and those out of the way. Yeah, it's nearly time to put glovies on, so I'm just going to put my UV lamp up and ready. So when we come to actually wanting to use that, then all we've got to do is just slide it forward. And let's glove up. I didn't put a pair ready for you, Ian.
That's alright, you don't need me.
Oh. We do, don't we, girls? We're going to miss him next week. Oh. Maybe. So, when you first get your bottle of resin, it's going to come with just a normal screw cap, and this one is separate for you to pop on. Just remember that whenever you're doing this, you want to be putting your lid back on before you kind of move on or illuminate. So I'm just going to put a little bit in each one. Okay. Now, if you just want to use a wooden cocktail stick to do this next bit, you can do that, or you can use the bit that's included. So, let's get this one up. Now, these are weird because they wobble. So, let's move these bits around. Make sure that we're getting it kind of around and under our inclusions as well. And it might be that you end up putting a little bit more on, but start with a little bit and then add a bit more. So basically with the UV resin, what you want to try and make do is that you don't have your layer too thin, because that can stop it curing too. So let's go around here. So some of it you can see where it's nice and easy, but you might struggle a little. So maybe just a little bit more on that one. Now I'm going to try and get these at least a little bit flat before I kind of put the next bit on. I think that one's going to need a little bit more just because of the size of that inclusion, just to get it roughly to the edges. So drop more on there, drop more on this one as well, not so much on that one.
I can't remember my younger sister having a kit like this in the 70s. Like this for Christmas back in the 70s. We made all sorts of stuff with it.
Yeah, it's definitely not a new thing by any stretch of the imagination. My nan got me a little resin ring way back in the day.
Excuse me.
Okay, so take this right up to this edge. You know that tape? I think that would have been a good idea to put underneath the bezel. But it's one of those that you don't really want to put your glove anywhere near it if you can help it, because especially if, like me, you don't really get to the end of the gloves. They don't fit me the best at the best of times, let alone try and do something fiddly.
Product would have changed over time though.
Yeah.
Huh?
Product would have changed.
Oh
over
yeah,
time.
yeah. Yeah. And, you know, hopefully it's become safer as, you know, people have started to realise what damage we do to ourselves, sort of thing. So, crafting isn't the safest hobby. Is it? So, there we go. So we've got our inclusions around there. I'm just going to draw around the outside. Just try and make sure that it's in touch with that metal all the way around. Like so. So let's get this one, because this is the awkward one. And if I can get my finger to the end of the glove, then I can hold on to the little bail bit. And let's get that around there. Now in terms of cleaning up, in terms of like the little mixing bowl and things, then you have two options. You can either wipe it out and then discard the tissue, or you can actually just cure your little item and it will peel off, which is why they're silicone and bendy. So I think I'm just going to put a little bit more on just to get round those edges. So we'll see how it goes. So what we were using it for really handily is a really quick way to set eyelets or jump rings to hold on to installation. So we've been working on these massive lollipops, and then we worked on some absolutely massive letters too that are hanging, so we could just do that really quickly rather than waiting for the 24 hours curing for your 2-part. Now there are quicker cures out there. So what I'm going to do, just going to leave my little stick just there, slide this on over, and then we can press the button. And then it's a case of wait. No. So the little lamp does go off on its own accord, and usually by then it's done.
Why did you leave it sticking?
So that I can just peel it off the end, rather than having to keep wiping off my stick. So any questions so far? The one thing I haven't mentioned yet is colouring the resin itself. So basically you have to use UV resin compatible dyes, because obviously it's got to get the light through to be able to cure. So if you're using pigment dyes that aren't UV compatible, it actually means that your product's not going to cure, which is no fun. Okay.
Would you use a gas lighter doing this? Gas lighter?
No. No. I've seen some things where they tend to look at using that for 2-part resin, but no, UV resin you don't need anything like that, because it's super duper fast and off it goes, job done. So let's give it a moment and just see if we need to just do a little bit more. But I think it's still a little bit sticky, so I think I'm just going to give it a little bit longer. How stick it is actually, not just the end of my. Can't resist fiddling, can I? So I think I might just put a little bit more on that one, just so we get a bit of a dome going on. So that's the other thing to bear in mind, is if you're working with a rim like this, even in a mould, basically because of physics, the top skin is always going to curve upwards like that up the edges. So even if you're working with the transparent mould, what you're going to want to do after demoulding is just kind of fill that in and give it another blast on the cure. So I think a little bit more on that one.
Angler resin is nasty stuff. IPA for cleanup.
Yeah, it's flipping horrible. So definitely
No gas lighters. No, definitely no gas lighters.
no, not with this one. Not unless you want to go boom.
I was just doing it to get the bubbles out. So to heat
Yeah, you don't need that for UV, definitely. Even, to be honest, with our epoxy one that we were using, and I will try and remember to pop up some details for what we were using, you wouldn't need that because the bubbles just came out on their own. Basically, you're looking for something that has a low viscosity to it, and then what that means is essentially it kind of flows itself out instead of keeping that bubble in. So just go around that edge. There's a little bit in there, it just needs a bit more. Just drop on another little bit. Just make sure that your inclusions are coated. So see how that's got a bubble there. What we're going to do is we are just going to prick it. And that's why we work with the pointy end. So make sure it goes all the way up to this edge.
Micro resin helps the bubbles disappear.
Yeah, because obviously when you put things in like that, it tends to bounce the light around anyway. The other trick that we did on the lollipops was the actual vinyl that we chose as well, because it was going over the top of like a holographic vinyl.
Say bye to Corinne, she's got to go.
Oh, bye Corinne. Hope everything goes okay.
School problem.
Yeah, really.
2:45.
Okay. So we're getting there. So let's pop that there. Make sure that we do that one up. Back over we go. Check the gloves. And off we pop. So it is best not to look at the light. So don't go thinking, oh, pretties. Essentially it's the same things that's going to give you a suntan. So, best to be wearing dark clothes. Yeah, especially if you're like me and it's at chest height at the moment.
You also get black gloves, which are good.
Yeah. But in terms of if you need to use a high viscosity epoxy for something because it is particularly difficult to set where you want it to, then you can use like a hairdryer to try and get your bubbles out. So basically heat is your friend when it comes to two-part. Okay, so let's have a look. There we go, take it off the end. Okay, yeah, that's okay. Now, next safety point. As this has just been cured, it is going to be warm. So even though you're thinking, well, there's no heat here, there is heat here because basically when it does the reaction, it's an exothermic reaction, so it gives out heat. So just be aware that just to let things cool before carrying on. And better still, have gloves that fit when you can pick things up. Okay, so when you're done, just do a little tilt test to the light, just so that you can see if there's anywhere that isn't covered on your stamping, which is looking pretty good. So I think I'm quite happy with that. Let's have a look at this one. Again, looking good. That one too, and again, that's looking good too. So, how funky are they? So obviously those look quite kind of traditional, so the next ones are going to look a little bit different. So, I also thought it would be fun. Let's take gloves off so I can actually open the packet. I thought it would be fun to try and do some transparent ones. So as we have these open bezels, we can actually cut some acetate to go in them, or plastic, so we can actually pop in. So what we're going to want to do is, before I go too far, I'm going to prep one of these. Now this is definitely one I would say where you need to do one at a time, just because if nothing else you can't get in the tape. There we go. So let's snip the tape. So those of you that were late joining, the tape is there so that the resin doesn't like spill out of your open bezel. So I'm just going to set that to one side for a moment, so the next time I try and get the end, it struggle quite so much. And I'm going to cut slightly more tape than the size of my bezel. Okay. Now you can see why I don't do this bit with gloves, because that would just stick to your glove. Now I'm going to press down my bezel and flip it over and just go round the back, just so we know that it's well and truly sealed, because there's nothing worse than it kind of spilling out. Yeah, well, I was going to do me cutting first. So let's get the acetate out. So you can either go for some nice thin acetate, or you can go kind of the other way and go thicker, because then you can use less of the resin. So I think what I'm going to do, there's some acetate your side, Ian.
Is there?
Here. In the little metal rack, just. You can choose one of the foil ones actually, it would look quite nice. I was going to do some vinyl, but you know, change on the fly. Woman's prerogative to change her mind. There we go. So, change of plan. We are going to go for some butterflies. So, while our other plastic is quite thick, I'm thinking just for demonstration purposes, so that I know that you can get the same results I do, I'm going to go for something a little bit thinner, because like I said, if your layer is less than 2 mil, you can sometimes find that it doesn't cure. So, I'm just going to gently move that over there. Bring my cutting mat back in, and this is where we can use background scan to our advantage. So I'm going to place my acetate onto my mat, like so. Don't have to worry too much about positioning, because we're going to move our shape around our acetate to get the particular layout that we want. Doubting myself then. Let's wake up the ScanNCut, because in the meantime it's gone forward and gone off to sleep. Reset and load. So let's go back to our canvas document. So this time we're going to be working with some of the transparencies, and all of those I've coloured in blue. Now I'm doing the long thin rectangle, which is this one. So I can go and send that to my machine. Okay. Transfer to via the internet, and off we go. So, moving to the machine, we are going to go to retrieve data from the cloud, and we want to do a background scan. So basically, this acetate that I'm using now could be a pattern vellum. It could be that you have some printed acetate rather than foiled, as in this case. It could be that you have some transparencies that you want to use. And let's go for, because you want something that's going to kind of make sense. So it's a shame they're not a little bit closer. But you do want to kind of keep it the right way up, because otherwise your butterflies might look a bit weird. Also, don't be tempted to try and fake it by making your rectangle bigger. It won't work. Unless you're using shrink plastic. Okay. So I think I'm going to go for let's go for that one there. And it can feel a bit weird to kind of go in the middle of your acetate, but it's okay because we can use that for other ones too. So I'm going to go okay, and let's cut that out. Benefit of the SDX is that we don't have to change the blades. Okay. Let's see if that's good enough. There we go. So let's go back overhead, and we have our piece of acetate with our full butterfly. So there's going to be a fly that's going to get a tan in a minute. Let's unload that mat for now. Let's move our piece back in, and with your acetate or anything you want to include in an open bezel, if we were to put this straight onto our tape, all we're going to succeed in doing is sticking our acetate to our tape. So what you want to do is actually do this in two parts. So we're going to start off by adding a thin layer of UV first, then popping in our acetate, and then we're going to top off with a bit more. So gloves back on. Okay. Now we want to spread that out, which looks very funny with my bendy stick. But you want to make sure that you get it right up to that edge. More of it bezel, and then back out this way. Now you'll notice I'm not even attempting to hold this steady, because the second my gloves touch this tape, it's going to stick to me. So although this may look very awkward, it's kind of necessarily evil, because otherwise it's just going to stick, and that's not going to be no good. And down into this bottom corner. There we go. There's the corners and the edges that you want to really pay attention to, so that we're creating a seal. Okay. Now, move that there. See what I mean about the tape? And let's get our UV light in, and away we go. It would look quite nice with some glitter in this one, wouldn't it? Do I feel brave enough? Know what I'm like on a live.
Glitter from the last.
Yeah. Sparkles down here, all came off the mat. So, any questions so far? As to how to measure or how to set it up in canvas? Basically, when you're measuring your mould, if it's a nice basic shape, then it's really easy, because you're going to measure just inside, so that you almost have a bit of play. Okay, so for this kind of next layer, it doesn't matter too much about if it's fully cured and things like that. But what I am going to do is just take my one glove off, just because I'm trying to pick this up without taking them off would be like this. So I'm just going to push that down in there, like so. Now, you also want to bear in mind any inclusions that you want to put in. So, if you want to put in some colour behind the butterfly, you can do. Or if you want to put some... You reckon? We're going to go glitter, in which case the other glove's coming off too, because I need both hands. Okay, so, let's go for it. I've already got a sparkly desk anyway, so... Now, the glitter I was using the other day was biodegradable. But this one is probably not. So it's good it's being encased in many ways. Now, I think I'm going to go fairly bright.
Neon. Yeah.
Neon orange. Or neon pink.
Orange.
Neon orange. Okay.
Why not?
Why not? Now, what I could do is there's a little spoon in here too. And a little mixing pot, so I don't have to have glitter everywhere. Yeah. Let's kind of get a little bit of a mountain so that I can scoop a bit in. Oh, go on. Go sparkly. Probably enough of that. Very carefully do it back up, because this is really fine glitter. So whereas the biodegradable one's quite coarse, this is going to be quite fine. So now I'm going to retrieve the gloves. Like so. And let's get see how that goes. We may add a bit more, but it's always easy to add more than it is to have excess. So just going to mix that. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Just a little. Go careful, else I'll have a copyright strike and we don't want that. Okay. So I'm just going to go and pop that in there, like so. Now what I may do is just drop a bit clear on top, but for the most part I want my colour to be behind my butterfly. There we go. So let's spread that out. And maybe just a little bit more up towards the top. I didn't do too bad at guessing that. So, what I love about UV is the little amount that you use, because it's always like lip dots, isn't it, Ian? So I'm going to make sure I'm going right to those edges, because as you can see it's kind of lifted a little bit, so I want to make sure that we're going up to those edges on this one and almost over, so that it's getting a good adhesion to the frame. Now I might just put a little bit more down the bottom edge as well. So right against this edge. And there. Okay, it's looking pretty good. So what I think I'm going to do is cure that, and then we can take a look at like when it's finished. So what I'm going to do is just cure my little mixing bowl as well, so I can peel out any bits out for that. I was doing some resin cutting today, all of them cured except one. And now a nasty sticky mess to clean up in the mould. Ew. That's the only problem with two-part, isn't it? You don't know when you put it in whether you've done it right. It's only when it cures that you can either go, yeah, that was perfect, or I'm not sure that was right. Put it in the freezer. Yeah, no, like a freezer bag. Because it's not the sort of thing you want to risk touching anything else. Okay. So, let's have a little looky. So, we can take the bits out of our mixing bowl, for starters.
It's already in there.
Joys of silicon. Turn it inside out and clean it off. There we go. So, with that done, let's have a look at our piece. Now we've let it cool for a few moments.
And resin needs more stirring than you think.
Yeah.
Ours was 1:1, wasn't it?
Ours was 1:1, yeah. And that's really hard to see that whether it's all the way around. So I think what I'm going to do is, let's be brave. If only for the sake of my gloves. Yeah. Can always use some more tape. Okay. I think they've been a bit hopeful about releasing this tape.
Good stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, then try and remove it with gloves, it's not good. Let's take the gloves off, because it's just not working with the gloves. Not working. So, go. More like it. It's like removing masking tape, pull it back on itself and it'll be fine. There we go. Stick there. So, let's have a look. So there's our front, and that's the back bit there. So I think it's just going to need a little bit more of an infill just around this section here, and just to kind of sort it out where the tape was. Sweaty hands. So.
At least your gloves are a little bit big, so they're not too squishy in there.
Yeah. It's good in some ways, not so good in others. Okay. So let's clean off my little tools before I get too far, because we don't want to get any kind of cured resin kind of breaking off. And that one too. Okay. Whee. Sound effects are there's me against the obligatory. So just because that one bit there is sticking up, I'm just going to try and get it to stick back down. I think I'm maybe being a little
Optimistic.
yeah, I might have to get slightly snipped. But it's only where the tape has pulled it. So up to the corners. Corners are the important bit because it can be so easy to miss a corner. So I still want to put a little bit extra just down that. Just there. basically it's kind of lifted away from the frame a bit. So let's just feed some down there, and hopefully that kind of sort it out. And I'll trim off that random bit after.
Coach asked, if you put too much resin in and it comes too high in the mould, could you sand it down?
You can get like special like little scalpels to do it, so that it rounds it off. Right, so let's go for another set. See how that goes.
Your tool's poking out like that, so
Is it? It's this one I used. But we are memory keepers are bringing out a resin stirrer to go with their spin range, where they've got like the mug turner. Well, not mug. It's kind of mug. You know, the takeaway mug things. So yeah, it's more of a case of cutting it down rather than sanding it. Probably in you know, in terms of health and safety as well. Okay. So the bits that I'm getting off my tools are like really tiny little bits. It's just what's left over, but okay, I'm just going to have to fix that bit. Four scissors. Just like tack it in there. Come on. Use some different scissors. Use my tools. Ding ding. There we go. Because you want to make sure that it's going to be safe to wear, and something sticking up like that is going to be as annoying as. So let's see if we can just fill in that little gap down that edge. We'll get there. Let's get my little pointy stick and get it in, take the little grooves, make sure it's going up to these corners. There's a little bit in there too, so a little bit more on there. So we want to make sure that it's totally smooth, otherwise what it's going to do is irritate the wearer. So let's do a little bit more over there. Stay. There we go. Up inside the corner, put around there. Because there's a little bit of pull just in that top corner as well. Okay, so draw the line. And go down here, round up here, into there, then you can just feed that in there. Oh, it's got a really cool bubble in it. Quite like that. I think it's just where it's pulled off the tape. It's like, ooh, that's weird. Funky. Okay. And again, back on, just to finish that off. Then we can go to a mould. the particular scalpel you're looking for has like a curved blade, so that you can actually go around those edges. So as I said, when it comes up against the edge of the mould, let's say, and to watch on screen, that's your edge of your mould, and this is like the base. So when your resin is in and it goes up to that edge, as it cures, you're going to find it kind of has this profile if you were to cut through it. So what you need to do is you either have to cut off that bit that goes up here, or you do another layer on top outside of the mould. So you have to demould it first, so that then it gets a rounded profile back.
You say curves a bit like a fruit knife, sort of curve.
Yeah. Okay. That's looking a bit more like it. Good, good. So just make sure the tools are clean. And let's pop this round the right way. And we have our little bezel. It's just funky. So sparkles. Such a magpie. Okay. So again, you're going to see that with this side we've got like a bit of a concave finish to it. So what you can do is do another layer on top to kind of bring that 3D back the same way that we have on the back. So if I show you the back, you see that's got an outwards curve. But if you like it like that, you can leave it like that. That's fine. And you can put more inclusions and things in if you like. So I'm just going to pop that over there to cool down. So, what time are we on? 3:30, nearly. That's not bad, is it? About halfway through. Should I do one more like that? So that we can actually do some inclusions and things in it.
If you want to, we can do a mould.
Decisions. Let's do a mould. Go on. So, with the moulds, again, if you wanted to, you just do these with straight UV and just put in either your UV safe dyes, you can put your glitter in, you can put your inclusions in. Yeah. Or you can get to the ScanNCut route. Or Select, or Cricut. So, while I say ScanNCut, basically you can insert your choice of cutter. The only thing that you might struggle with is doing things like the background scan, but each platform has its own version of that you can use. And my ScanNCut's gone to sleep. I'm going to get OK, home to reset, and load my map back in. So we've still got our acetate on there. Which one shall I go for?
Change your display.
Yeah. So in terms of our moulds, I've kind of done just the one teardrop one, but I thought it might be a good idea to kind of talk you through how to create a shape if you want to actually have your acetate go around the little dot in your mould.
Oh, blimey. 2-to-1 resin can take up to 3 weeks to cure. How long for this? This takes what? 2 minutes max?
60 to 90 seconds.
Yeah. Not long.
It's not long, and you can build it up layer by layer, so don't think you've got to get it right first time, or if something happens that, you just throw it out. It's just a case you just build up layer by layer. Your layers should be sort of 2 mil thick and above to be able to cure properly. So, let's go for a mould. And I was going to say about how to actually set up a shape in canvas. So I have
So
some
Carol's
little...
should we-
Okay. Bye bye, Carol. So I'm going to measure my diameter of my mould. So in this case, we're looking at about 12mm. So let's get the circle. And the circle's going to be massive, and that's fine. I'm going to colour it in red just so it matches my coding. Don't have to do that. And I'm going to set my width to 12 and maintain that aspect ratio. So we've got this tiny little circle. Now what I am going to do, because we're working small, is let's zoom in. Now to that we need to add a tiny little hole. So click and drag in your circle, and again it's going to come in huge. Now each one of these little prongs is probably only about a mil wide, but I'm going to do it a little bit bigger because we want it to slide over the top, so we can take 1.5, and at this point it's going to go, wait, come back here. So let's just zoom back out, and it's all the way over there. Now if we were to try and click and drag that, chances are we'll stretch it rather than actually moving it. But if we press and hold shift and our arrow key, it's going to jump further than if you just use the arrow key on its own. Okay. So now it's roughly in the right place. We can go and zoom back in. So I just want to look at that circle, and I want it nice and big, and think about it, and there we go. So we know that little circle is now 1.5mm, but of course we then need to know how far down it is. So I'm going to rotate my mould so that I can get a bit of a better measure, and it's about a mil down. So if our circle's 1.5 mil, you want it to be about 2/3 the size of a hole, so about there. Now, being a silicone mould, what you're going to find is there's a little bit of flexibility with that little bit that stands up anyway. So you're going to be able to kind of guide it so that you don't have to be ultra accurate. If you are working with a stiffer mould, then obviously it gets a bit more important, but for this one, that is fine. Now, if you're happy with that positioning, we're going to click and drag over the top so both are selected, and then we can go to subtract, which is going to punch that hole through, so we don't have to worry about grouping or if the shape moves or anything else. It's always going to be together. So let's go to our machine. So let's transfer that across. And I'm going to have both shapes on my mat. So I'm going to go to retrieve data, back to the cloud, and there's our two shapes. So you can see if I move this around, because we did that subtraction, we're not losing anything without having to worry about grouping, ungrouping and all the rest of it. And we can still do our background scan, and off we go. Okay. Now I'm going to kind of move my shapes around, but we need two. So let's go to edit, object edit, duplicate, 2, okay. And then we can move that one around. Now the trick is here to remember which way up your teardrop's going to go. So this particular butterfly is facing that way, but this one here is facing the other way. So let's move our little disc out of the way, and we need to rotate that shape around. So do your big changes first, and then you can always nudge if you need to. So if we look at this angle here to this one here, it kind of just needs to angle down this way a little bit. So if we go that way, it's going to be a bit closer to being equal. So I've tried to match it as much as I can. It's not necessarily going to be perfect for this particular design, but that's okay. Now, with our teardrops, we haven't put the holes in, and what we've done is instead is we've actually sized it down a little bit so it should fit in our mould, so kind of avoiding that hole. Now, with our disc shape, we can go, okay, there's a bit of gold there, okay, and again, we need two, so let's pop this, let's go down to this one down here, into that little butterfly there. Are these likely to line up? Not in the least, but that's okay. Now, what I would say is, because we've got these tiny, tiny little holes, what you want to do is swap your blade. So I'm going to go to the vinyl blade. Now, we know that our vinyl blade typically takes more pressure than our standard blade, so we're going to pop our pressure up to 1 and go okay, and then we can go. So let's pop back overhead for a moment, otherwise it gets a bit boring. So let's move the ruler, and we can start to prep our mould. So first of all, we're going to want to have that layer of UV in the bottom. So let's do that first. Now, if we want to put our UV light on, if we do it this way, it's going to struggle. So rotate your mould around that way. Glovies on. And we want to fill our 4 little sections here with some UV. Now I'm just going to go clear for this first layer. So maybe a little bit more than that because I want it to cure. Okay. So I want to kind of get in there, round, and you can see what I mean about the little peg kind of being willing to move where you need it to get round behind it. Same with this one, round.
Julie says thanks for this, she's got to go but she'll catch up later.
Okay. So I'm going to kind of mix this all around this edge here. Make sure we're going up to the edge of our mould, like so. I'm surprised we haven't seen Sam. I know bees at work, but we're going to go up there, round the edge. And I hope we'll see you in the Facebook group as well if you're not already a member. So, okay. kind of want to make sure that there's not too many bubbles going on. You can find that there's a little bit of retraction, but if you get too much, then just drop a bit more in. So essentially what your acetate's going to do is it's going to sit floating in the middle of your UV. There we go. So let's get that on. Still pulling a little bit, but that's okay. It's pulling away from the mould, basically, as it, you know, because the mould doesn't get wet as such, there's always going to be like a little bit of a tension between the two. And while that's setting, let me just get these other pieces out. So I've got our little, oh, that's tiny. Gonna need my little pokey for that one. There we go. So, just to show how tiny this hole is, it is really tiny. Okay. We then have one of our teardrops. Let's take the rest of that acetate off there because we won't be using it again for this one. One more butterfly. And then... Huh?
Dissected the butterfly.
Yeah, dissected the butterflies. And let's just pop out the little hole in this one too. So if anybody tells you that, or you can cut out 3mm circles, they're not telling the truth. It's just that you have to prep it slightly differently to get it to kind of do it. So let's pull this out and we can see where we've got like, if I hold this up so you can see that you've got like little, or in this case like big bubbles. That's okay, because we're going to put something in here and then we can sort that out. So if you are doing earrings like this, what you're going to want to do is just make sure that you kind of get those little bits of acetate lined up, right? So my teardrop shape is very slightly smaller, so that's okay there. There we go. And get this one there. So I didn't do too bad a job of getting them matching. Now for the tricky bit, because let's see if I could have done with going a little bit big on my hole. So I'm just going to pop the end back on my, maybe that we might have to snip into it just to get it to go in. I think I may have been a little optimistic because it's not wanting to go through, so that's okay. In which case I'll just snip it. There we go. It's not wanting to go, so then just pop that around the little stem. Now you want to make sure that that stem then sticks back upright, otherwise the hole in your bead isn't going to be in the right place. So you want to make sure it's away from that top, even if your acetate is slightly wonky. So next time, pick a hole. Okay. Next one. In there. Oh. It's definitely fighting back today. Come on. No. It's been naughty. It doesn't want to go in. Get in there. Right, let's see if I can have any better joy with the tweezers. I don't hold out much hope, because me and tweezers were not getting on at the weekend, were they, sweetie?
Yeah. Almost threw it out the window, didn't
Yeah.
I? And the tweezers.
There we go. So, as I said, just make sure that there's a good gap between there and the edge, and then we can go from there. Okay, so now, because we're going to be doing back with the raw UV as such, back go the gloves. Now, I was going to just say, do we put some inclusions in that? Because they look quite pretty, but what do you think, Ian? Does it need added sparkles, or are we just going to go clear?
Nah, go clear.
So they look like they're floating in midair.
Yeah.
So, yeah, turn it round, as Ian says. And we're just going to flood that in there. And then in there. And in there. And we'll see how it goes. So again, just make sure that we're going round our little standy uppy bits at the top, so that we're making sure that we have a nice hole put in at the top. Try and get out any big bubbles. I always think when you're doing things like this, it always shows how uneven your desk is. So, around the back again. Even if you do manage to get some right on the tip of your little standy up bits in your mould, then all is not lost. You can just usually get your knife in there and just, or your pokey tool, and just give it a little prod and get it out that way. So I think, she says, I think that looks okay. So, end in there. Like, and away it goes. So, any questions or anything you'd like to see, because it's been super duper quiet, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting the chat to go ding 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 ding.
No. A little bit of chat about different bits of two-tone resin. Using IPA to clear up.
So, if Corinne's gone and Judy's gone and Carol's gone, who have we got left in the room?
We have Louise, we have Linda, Thing, I believe is still here. Who else have we got? Delcy.
Yeah, Elsie.
And Beverly, I believe. And your mum.
There we go. So,
Got quite a few in.
And with the mould, there's a really fun thing that you can do with the mould to make your life a little easier, and that is we're going to flip it over in a minute. But what you want to do first is just let it cool down just a little, because what you don't want it to do is to get too hot. So just let it cool a little bit so that we're not causing an overreaction. Don't want it to go and grab its handbag. Oh, I'm off.
Maybe it says me still here.
So it's holding its heat, this one.
Yeah.
The two little ones aren't too bad, but the
Bigger
teardrop ones.
Sorry, missed the beginning. What resin are you using?
So we're using UV resin. It's the Let's resin one, and it comes as a starter kit. So basically you get the mould, the little tools, the little mixing bowl, which is kind of cute, as well as all your findings and the bezels that I've been using as well. You also get a sheet of stickers, the lamp, so it's basically a kit in a box, and you can, if you want to, you can just use it to literally just make what's in the kit. But
You said there's a link in the Facebook group.
yes, I've popped up a link in the Facebook group for this kit on Amazon. There's other ones on there as well that you can go and get. What I would say is we've tested this one and we know it works. So yeah, if you're feeling confident, then you can go and shop around. So let's just get these little bits off my mould, just where it's done like that drips, and I'm going to flick it over very carefully and pop it back under. So this is essentially curing the underneath. So if you've done something that has colour in it in particular, you're going to want to do this. So doing the open bezels, take your pick, mouth.
The ones with holes in.
The ones with holes in is interesting, to say the least, because obviously it becomes a little bit more difficult to remove the tape and things, whereas your flat back ones are a lot easier to use. You can also get some really nice paper pads that you can use with them as well, particularly if you go searching in like the charity shops, thrift shops, because some of the older Tim Holtz pads, for instance, are sized for doing these little things. So I've got beautiful purple mica I'm itching to use. Yep. Just check that it is UV friendly if you're going to use this one. So I'm trying to resist the urge to take it straight out of the mould, because it's like you gotta wait, girl, wait. Damn it. Patience was never my strong suit, was it? So as I said before, because it's in a mould, it is going to have a concave top. So if that bothers you and you want to go back and fix it, you can do. But what I would say is, as it's got these tiny little holes in, just make sure before you cure, the important that bit, before you cure it, make sure that your hole is clear. After, it's not so easy to do. So, still quite warm, but that's he's impatient and naughty. Okay, so these might be a bit more interesting to get out, but these are kind of popped right out. So we have a little teardrop. Now there's a bit there that's just missing, so what I'm going to do is I might just pop that back in, but I'll see how it goes. Let's have a look at the other one. might be. Let me just leave them like that. Come on. There we go. See, that one is perfect. There we go. So that's what it should look like. That one just needs a little bit more working around that edge there, just to get it finished off. But I might just touch that one up. You never know. So, with those done, let's get these little ones out. So, these are a little bit more tricky. But they're cool. How cool are they? Like teeny tiny, teeny tiny. And they're like super duper thick. They're cool.
Definitely a craft for the patient. The UVs are much quicker, isn't it? So
Yeah.
UV's almost resin for the impatient.
Resin for natty, that's what you mean. There you go. So there's our other bead, and again, you've got a nice thick bead that you can work with. So it's not like once they're cured that they're fragile by any stretch of the imagination, especially once they're totally cool. So we can create earrings and necklaces and lots of fun bits. Now, as I still have that file on my machine, let's do another set, shall we? Just for good measure. So I have here some printed paper. Now this one's a chocolate rock one. Don't know if you can still get a stock for it, but I just love the colours. So there we go. So I just think those colours are gorgeous. So I'm going to pop that onto my mat, and I'm going to bring it in 1 inch because I want to see the edge, so that I can use as much of that paper as possible. I'm going to go OK, display, not display, even, ScanNCut. So let's go back one, and we're going to do our background scan again because we changed spots on the mat. Okay. Now, because we had that issue with the little hole.
It's got to go.
Oh. What I would say is, normally what I would do is go back to canvas and readjust it and then resend it. But just for speed and time, I'm just going to leave it as is, and I'll just do the same little snip job. So, we're going to need to rotate our teardrop back up the right way. So, like that. And then we can decide where we're going to put these. So this middle section here, although you can't see it on the screen, has some nice text details. So I'm going to go and pinch that from my little teardrop there. And same with the little dark section just there. So we don't want to be right on the edge, so just do, when we go back in a minute, I'll go and zoom in and just check. Now, our 2 little circles we can probably fit in our purple area. So either at the top here, or we might go down the bottom. So let's go down here and down here, like so. Okay, and we're looking pretty good because we're clear of our edges, but we will check. So let's go into move. I'm going to go into zoom, and we can use our scroll function just to check. So if we want to go, okay, it's still pretty far from that edge, so we just nudge it over to get a little bit more of that detail. Okay, and then down the bottom we might go, actually that could be a bit closer too. get more of that purple. Okay. So let's go okay. Okay. Okay again. Okay again. And let's start that off. Hmm? Should be alright. Okay, so this could be that you have some photos that you want to use. It could be that you want to use some background stamps. I don't think you've got to use little stamps like I was using with the miniatures. You could go for a big background stamp and just do little sections of it. If you wanted to do some embossing, you could do that. Okay.
Lewis's up until now I've only used UV resin as a glue.
Yeah, we used it to glue the little eyelets on, didn't we, for the...
Yeah, for the letters and the lollipops.
Yep. And we were very grateful that we got it for that. Well, we didn't get it for that, did we?
No.
It's actually a gift, wasn't it, sweetie? That you got for me.
I did.
So, let's just check what's going to work. Yep, that should be okay.
You swap to around.
Oh, there we go. So, just doing little snips. Like so, just to get it around. There we go. But how cute do they look? So fab. So, there's our teardrops. Let's unload the mat. Over we go. So, before we put these bits in, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to put UV into our bottom of our mould again, because otherwise you just have raw paper on the back and that won't look very good. The other thing to bear in mind is if you want to put colour on the back, to cut an extra one to go on the back as well, so that you don't necessarily have a white back. But for me, for now, that'll do. Because I'm probably going to turn these into necklaces, because I don't have pieces. Okay, so let's put that there. There we go. Let's put a bit more this time, shall we? 3 in there and in there. There we go. I get all the way around that little peg. Try and make sure it doesn't pull away this time from the edges. Naughty, naughty. There we go. Around there. So this is a little bit fuller than last time, so we'll see how we go. What I might do actually is put it in upside down, so that we've got the thicker bit at the front. We'll see what this set's like, because this one is still being a little bit naughty. So let's put another drop in there. Nobody wants naughty mould. Okay. So let's move that back there. And over we go. Well, there's definite benefits to using the UV one in terms of time. Especially if you're just doing little jobs like this where you just want to make something quick. And have a bit of fun. Because there's so many different things that you can do with it in terms of inclusions, and if you want to go down the route of making stickers with it, you can. So it would certainly be quicker than using a 2-part for doing stickers, because it's still got that nice thin little amount that you're using. Okay. So let's clean off my tools. Just trying to get those little bits off. Yeah, because I'm probably going to want that one in a minute. So, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, which way up shall we go? We can go this way and have it thicker on the back. Or that way, no, let's go that way. Now, because we're going face down, it makes it a bit more important to get the alignment right. Let's go that way and get it like that. Up there, down there. Come on. Patience. Can't just go. Now these I'm going to do the right way up, just because I want to check that everything lies down properly. So you can see that one's sticking up a bit, so I'm probably going to have to give that a bit more of a prod with a pokey tool or something, just to get it to go down that stem a little. There we go. So go as close to that stem just to give it a little push, and we should be good to go. Right, and then we can just top up. Whee. Won't make the same mistake of being a bit stingy. Let's go and push that right up to that edge, because there's a little bit there where it pulled back, so I want to make sure that it goes all the way up to that edge. And if your little piece starts to move around, don't worry too much, we can move it. Okay, getting there. Now, you'll notice when I'm doing this, the paper starts to look a bit translucent, and that's just because obviously it's getting a little bit wet. Now, if you don't want it to do that, you can actually seal it with some clear vinyl first before you do your resin, and that'll just stop that happening. So see how you're getting like a little bit of a watermark in there? There we go. So that one's looking okay, that one's looking okay. Let's go for it. Be brave, be bold. And that is probably going to be the last one for today. That's not bad. I'm a bit ahead of schedule actually.
That's all right.
I penciled it in until 5 because I wasn't sure how long it was going to take.
No.
But if there's any other questions or anything you'd like to see me do, so if there's like you'd like to see one that's where I've done like a coloured background to go in, then say now. Ding ding ding.
Not quite finished.
Huh?
Not quite finished. We've got to finish curing.
Yeah, and get it out. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a little bit warm for a little while. So there's time to ask questions. But they are funky. That's weird because it's like there's a hole but there's not a hole. It's got a bubble on the back. So it's like, ooh. That's begging to have like some like inclusion put in it and then put some more UV over the top to seal it. Would be cool. Wouldn't it? So, you never know. I'll try it. Let's have a look. So, now we've got a little bit over. You said go down. Yeah.
We'll move it back into
How long can you keep
resin.
resin? It depends on how well you look after it, is the answer. Particularly with the UV one. So do follow storage instructions. Obviously, store away from direct sunlight, but that's kind of a given, really, because obviously it's UV reactive. Somewhere cool. So most of the time in here is absolutely fine because I'm usually freezing.
Thanks for the heat on today.
Yeah, we got the heating on to try and help the bubbles today. But in terms of like 2-part resin, because it's stored apart, you can store it pretty much long term, really. So it's not a case of you've got to worry about, is it going to go off in that
Does it have a
sense.
shelf life?
Everything has a shelf life, apart from honey.
Even that.
No, even honey doesn't have a shelf life. It's really weird. Because it's antifungal, antibacterial, antimicrobial and all the rest of it. Can't wait.
Even a toy shelf.
Yeah. Totally a kid in a toy shop. What I would say is, if you are going to invest in a craft product, any craft product, don't let it just sit there, because there is nothing worse than coming to use something that you've kept for best to find out that it doesn't work. And that applies whether it's a ScanNCut or whether it's a pot of Nouveau paste. Yeah. Even the distress pads have a shelf life. The fact that one of mine lasted 20 years is beside the point. But they still expire at the end of the 20 years after they've been hanging on by a thread, literally. So let's carefully. It's still warm. There we go. That's cool. So we have. That's weird. It looks like there's like a dip in it, but there's not. It's smooth. It's just weird. So again. That one actually got a little bubble in. That one might need a little bit of UV in it just to finish it off. But looks good. Then we've got our little one. Like so. We just go. I love the colours. It's like, ooh, nice. May have to see if I can get some more bead molds because I'm going to be obsessed with making beads, methinks. So, just because that one has like a little bit of a bubble in it, and my gloves still on and stuff like that, I'm just going to try and do like a little touch up. So, you only need like the tiniest dot and just try and get it in. That's weird because it's right down in there. Okay, now I'm just going to spread the rest of that out a bit. Let's use my other end because I want to get it kind of flat, because otherwise all those little marks from your tooling is going to show. So I'm just going to put a little bit more on there. Just avoid the hold. Okay. Just clean my tool at the same time. And when I do done, and then we can see the finished things. And you can go, ooh, can we do? So, who would like to see a workshop on 2-part resin? It wouldn't be till next year, and it would have to be a paid workshop. Let me know in the comments, either on the live stream or if you're watching this back after, you can just put it in the regular comments. I think I'm going to experiment with the colours as well, you know. Just because it'd be fun. Yeah. As you can tell, my mat is somewhat covered in resin. So is the desk. Despite going, oh, so careful. Let's just check that, see how that's looking. Not too bad. So, see what I mean? You can kind of get like a little bit of brush stroke in there, but it's gonna be close enough for, without risking damaging the little hole at the top, which we don't want to do. Okay, looking good. So I think I might turn those into earrings, and I think that one is probably going to become a little necklace. And do you know I put some little mica bits in that bubble? What do you think, Kit? Because it's quite a big. It's quite a big dent. So let's.
Have you got some of the little mica bit
Yeah, the little mica bits. In what colour shall we go? While I'm here and, you know, it's out.
What have you got?
So we've got purpley, reddy pinky, pink, so neon pink, kind of yellowy bordering on orangey, and neon orange. And you got like neon yellow, blue, yellow, and white. And I think hiding just there is purple.
I thought the blue might look nice.
Blue. We can go blue. Blue. So let's get this up the right way. So rather than leaving it so that it's uncomfortable to wear, we may as well.
Those are just purple
Nice.
before you put
Should we do a little bit of both? Because it's quite big, the hole, isn't it? So let's go for that one. And let's go for some purple. So because it's already cured underneath, you kind of almost don't need to worry too much. Because what you want to make sure is that it cures on top, and that's pretty much it. It can be kind of soft in the middle.
soft and squishy.
But you want your inclusions to sit down that hole, and that one's not. So let's do a little bit of in you go. That one. I'm fighting back again. Come back here. Wait, no, it's gone. I'm off. Bye. There we go. And that's probably enough. And to be honest, I can go in there. Ding-a-ding. Actually, that's very cool. That one's in the wrong place. Yeah, go on. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
Leave it at that. Gloves. Glovies. Almost. Mind you, with me it's a bit of a toss-up, isn't it? Because I'm allergic to gloves and allergic I'm pretty allergic to the rest. So. Okay. Want me that pokey stick again? Because I want to make sure that it's filling this hole. Gets it right down in there. Don't be afraid to give it a good poke right in the top of the corners. Get it in. Okay. Right. So again, I'm just gonna pop that there over the top. Ding a ding. La da la la la. wonder if we could get that back in the mould just to fix that edge. I think I might be being a bit optimistic because I've got to get that little bendy bit back for it. Oh, 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 oh. Okay. We're in.
What's wrong with it?
It's got a bit that's missing on the edge and it's a bit sharp, so. There we go. So it has. Whoa, that was weird. Little. Let's get the white out. Okay. Got a little inclusion in there now. That's cool. And it's all sealed. Nice and smooth. Job done. So let's just fix this one, just because it's bugging me. Gloves on. So yeah, do have some gloves that you can take on and off easily, because there's lots of it. And let's just go around these edges so we know that it's getting coat around there. Okay. Bendy. Make sure we're getting right round there, up in here, and the stem, round here where it was missing that little bit, round the bottom. Okay, and just for good measure, let's go, rather than going orangey, let's go actually, rather than going glitter. I was going to go glitter, but then I think, nah. No. 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 There we go. Try and resist the temptation to put your tweezers in the resin.
Yeah, they don't appreciate it.
They don't appreciate it, no.
Pick it back out there.
Yeah. It's not good having to try and pick off the divide resin off your tweezers. So there we go. We've got these little purple fragments now. So that should look cool. So I'm just going to move them where I want them. So bear in mind that the gold side of the butterfly is the right side. So you want to try and keep that butterfly a bit clear. So move that a bit just there. There we go. And it just looks like we've got a nice coloured fragmented background. Okay. Do-do-do. On there.
You know what it needs, don't you?
Go on.
Little countdown clock.
Yeah. Can't do that even for copyright. So you can all do that alone. For those outside of the UK, look it up. But if you've got some little flat back gems, you could be putting them in this too. If you've got like the little pearls, you could be putting it in. Basically, because it's the UV version, it's a little bit easier as to what you can put in it.
cool.
Very cool. I'll play with the other ones while I'm waiting, because I'm going to chop with those. I think those are so cute. So while I've done that with like printed paper, that could be all gel plates that you've done some nice gel printing with. It could be that you've done some nice stamping. It could be that you've literally given yourself a template to draw directly onto. So while I've been using the blade to cut out these shapes on the ScanNCut, there's nothing stopping you using the draw setting instead and giving yourself a framework to work to, and then actually stamping and colouring and foiling. Yeah, you could do some foil to go in there. There's lots. So I hope I'm giving you lots of ideas and lots of inspiration, and that you want to play. Yeah, so if you want to have any extras for your ScanNCut stash, don't forget to use the discount code at Craft Store Direct, which is PlannerCraft10, and that might be for mats. It might be that you want some I'm just going to give that a little bit longer. It's a little bit sticky. Could be my fingers though. It could be that you want to get some vinyl, so we're working with some very, very nice carbon fibre vinyl yesterday. So there you go. I can show it on the screen, which is nice. So if you are making gifts for the men in your life, they know what carbon fibre is, especially if they're into their
Automobile.
Yes, they're nice sports car. Oh, I can't get you to go back in the school now. You'd be most uncomfortable of your school, sweetie. You're not wanted. There we go. So I'm going to pop that bit in a bit. There we go. And with that, I think I might say, if there's no other questions and there's nothing else that you want me to show, we might call it a day. So if you've never been on one of our paid workshops before, what you'll typically find is usually, rather than being this much under, I tend to be way over, don't I?
You do.
So if you want to join in, there are going to be some Christmas ones going up, but not many. So watch this space. There's a couple up already, isn't there, for December, but we're not going to do too many because, well, you're starting a new job. Don't know which one, but you're starting a new job. So we don't want to do too much and be silly in terms of what our limitations are. Then in the new year there are going to be some starter workshops. So those are specifically for people that have got a new machine. So it could be that they've gone from a CM to an SDX. It could be that they're on their first SDX. It could be that they've got a Cameo 4 and up. It could be that they've even got a Cricut. So there's going to be ones that are just going to focus on actually creating cut files. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and feel free to ask questions. like and subscribe so like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you haven't already, join the group on Facebook as well. So as we keep referencing, you're going to find that we put a lot of our links up on the group rather than on the page, so that could be links to designs that we like on Design Bundles or Creative Fabrica. It could be that it's supplies in terms of Craft Store Direct or Amazon or pretty much anywhere, to be honest.
If we see a good deal.
If we see a good deal, we're tempted to put it out. And if you like it, go for it, and if you don't, it's perfectly fine too. I really like that one. That's really cute. So, which is your favourite? Let me know below. And I will see you on Monday.
You're back Monday, aren't you?
Back Monday. Yeah. Monday, Wednesday, Friday are our usual days, but yeah, we had a bit of a change of plan for tomorrow, but because we've done yesterday and today, it's like, no, need to get some work done tomorrow, so we're working tomorrow instead of...
Linda says they're gorgeous project now. Thank you both so much for your time this week afternoon.
That's okay, and it's nice to have you all here to create along with me.
And Darcy says they're very pretty. It's been very interesting, thanks.
Thank you. So yeah, the kit is up on the group, so do go and join in and have a look. The papers and the stamps I use are all from Chocolate Rock. If you want to pop up a link in the group, just ask me in the group and I will gladly put a link there. And it's been really fun, and I look forward to seeing you on Monday when I will be doing
something fun.
No, I know what I'm doing, because next week I'm doing the Christmas Village theme stuff. It's just whether I do the ScanNCut one first or whether I do the dye one first, and I think I might go ScanNCut first. Just in case you are with me on Wednesday, you never know. So, ScanNCut, Christmas Village, Monday at 11 AM UK time. Take care and bye.